All right, welcome to another live broadcast. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today is January the 21st, 2025. 2025. One day I'm going to get the dates right. 2026. That's what the date is. January the 21st, 2026. I'm going to get it right. But anyway, forget all of that, but I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. It was a nice day out here in sunny Arizona. Yet another beautiful day. Well, it was mostly cloudy. But anyway, today we're going to get into a few things like we always do during our live news broadcast. I told y'all I'm not going to play any clips of the great debate that's going on between Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb and comedian Corey Holcomb. And I'm not going to play it at all. But I am using this whole debate thing that's going on to look at a more deeper issue. Okay. And something that we can fix and should be fixing. We talk about it a lot, but all we do is talk. Are you ready to stop talking and start doing something about it? Well, I'll get into the details on that in a moment. I'm also going to get into talking about, I told y'all, I told you. Did I not say that? And I'm going to keep on saying, well, I didn't say it. They said it. How they were going to, powers that shouldn't be, the Zionists, they're going to start going after trying to do everything they can to get Black Americans involved in their plight. And we have yet another great example of that. Wow, this one is a doozy. So we're gonna talk about that. They did an article on this, so it's from the news publication, The Gray Zone. So we're gonna take a look at that. I'm also later on. I'm also gonna show you, speaking on the same topic, how I'm on X. But I'm not on. I'm kind of like covert, kind of there. I don't really. I don't have my, official one. It's just kind of one where I can gather intel and all of that and be nosy, and so that's the account. I use an account for that. Well, anyway, someone figured out how you can find out how X is ranking you and if you have any violations against you, and are you being, are they shadow banning you? Well, I actually ran it on my account, and I don't think you guys will be too surprised at the results, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. But we're going to get into that and then some other things as well. So welcome to the broadcast. Let's put some music on. This is, again, one of my favorites I've been jamming to, even in my head, African Violet. I love this one. So let's go ahead and get into it, and let's get some people on board here, and then we're going to get started, okay?
They took me from my window, put me under neon lights. Said grow the same, don't ask why. And somebody else is climbing. Told me bloom wherever planted. But they never change the soil. Something. Still I learned to save my joy. I grew quiet, I grew careful. Learned to drink just what I need. But don't confuse my meditation for the limit of my seed. I ain't broken, I ain't small. I'm just listening to the room. I was built for waters, not the pressure of this.
Come on.
I'm an African violet. I don't bloom just anywhere. I don't beg the sun to love me.
Come on.
I need balance in the air. I'm an African violet. Still alive, still standing tall. If I haven't reached my glory,
come on.
that don't mean there's none at all.
Hey. Nothing at all. We'll be starting in about a minute, y'all. We just kind of Getting our little groove on here first before we start jumping in.
That don't mean there's no. They keep measuring my petals by the ruler of the stone. Wonder why I don't grow reckless in a place that hates my form. I learned patience, I learned silence, I learned power, don't need noise. I don't waste my energy trying to impress a void. Every leaf a declaration, every root a quiet plan. I am not what
All right,
you
one more
would
time,
like
and we're gonna get started,
me.
y'all.
I'm
Come on,
where I
come on.
stand. I can feel another climate calling softly through my veins. I don't curse the place I'm in.
Are you cursing the place that you're in?
But I won't confuse it with my name.
Come on. What are you?
I'm an African violet. I'm an African violet. I don't bloom just anywhere. I don't break myself for survival. I require love and care. I'm an African violet.
Hey.
Still restrained but still complete. I don't shrink to fit the system. I remember who I be.
All right, welcome so much. Welcome. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to stop by my little channel. So glad that you guys are here. And if you are new here to the platform, welcome. Glad that you guys are here. I will have to forewarn you, if you're brand new to the channel, there's a lot of information that we give out. A lot of information. Okay, so it ain't just little videos we do. We got a whole warehouse. You imagine, do you remember at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they showed that wide shot of the warehouse? Well, that's what this channel's like. And I got, sorry.
Hear my roots, they run
Hey.
deep. I survive with self-respect. Not on hunger, not on greed. I'm an African violet. If the
Sorry, y'all. Sorry. I apologize. I should let y'all hear the other version. I was torn with it. So anyway, so yes, ton of information. Case in point, we have our digital library closing in on 800 books and study references. If you are somebody that is into research, okay, you ain't gonna find novels up in there, okay? We don't do the romance novels. You ain't gonna find any of that in there, okay? I know they got their place, but they don't have their place here. All right, what we're doing. This is our ongoing project that we have been doing for a long time. A very long time. Maybe I'll play that other one in a little bit later. I'll play that other version a little bit, but I don't. I'm getting too distracted right now. But anyway, so we have that going on right now. Over 800 books and other research materials, and I'm still adding stuff at least once a week. I'm adding new things that I'm collecting, and $9.99. That's it. $9.99. That's it. And the instructions, if you scroll down on our community page, the instructions are there. They're there. They'll tell you what to do and how to get it. It's super easy, very easy, and yeah, all PDF formats. Check that out. Okay, so I want to make sure you know about that. So that's one thing. Well, the other thing we have is Samba Tree. Well, you guys already know about that. Samba Tree. We got a ton of stuff that we do over there. We're about health and wellness. We're not just sitting here talking about the problems in the world and all of that and just going to leave you, holding up, just, oh Lord, there's more stuff I got to put on my shoulders. And as we continue to climb up the rough side of the mountain, we ain't doing that over here. Okay, now maybe you doing that, but we ain't doing that over here. So we're about providing some very, very good solutions. And for us, it's in the area of health and wellness. And so we got a whole lot of things. We got our own brand, organic bottled soursop tea That's going to be shipping out in the next few days. So yeah, it's this tea, soursop tea. You're not going to find it anywhere else, y'all, because for whatever reason, the bottlers of the world or whatever, they don't want to bottle soursop tea. But did you know that this is something that's soursop has so many good things in it that our body needs? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Soursop tea has a ton of things that our body needs in it. And I always, and this is something this is going back to our dear sister. I hope she's doing okay. Her name was Journey. Yeah, her name was actually Journey, and she was from Congo. And one thing she said in her class that she offered to us was this. She said that plants grow where they're needed. And so when you look at where us as black folks, where we've lived, you're going to find a ton of fruits and vegetables and herbs that our people were in environments that we came from. But here in America, I mean, we don't necessarily get access to all of those things. There's a ton of stuff that never makes it here to America because if they were to ship it here, it would go bad. So it's important for us to get, we can't get the fruit, let's get the lettuce. Let's get the leaves. And so that's what we did here. We got the organic bottled soursop tea, and it ain't no natural flavors in it at all. It's just simply, we have reverse osmosis water we put in there. We got the organic tea leaves, sweetened with honey, just lightly sweetened with honey. It ain't going to be, Kool-Aid level sweetened. Okay, so it ain't going to be that level. So if you're looking for that, I'm sorry, we ain't going to do that for you. And then we also have an unsweetened version too. So if you just want an unsweetened version, we got that too. And then we squeeze a little bit of lime in it. All right, so that is going on right now. Get your orders in because, we're doing it in waves, okay? Because usually we get a big turnout and it's still happening. So make sure you get your orders in for that. Also the citrus, we got citrus going on as well. Working with local organic citrus growers right here in the great state of Arizona. We're going out, we're getting it, we're packing it, and we're distributing it to all of our people all across the fruited plain. So make sure you check that out. Again, you can find all of that over on sambatree.com. Now, if you didn't catch our broadcast that we did the other day, my wife and I over on the Samba Tree YouTube page, my wife, she introduced a service, another thing that we're going to be offering. And I'm very excited about this. And let me get it up here on the screen for you. And let me see here. Let me get it up here. I'm going to go to the Samba Tree YouTube page here. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button so that we just watch it. She just uploaded this short Samba Tree. There we go. I'll get it up here. And there it is. Okay, so let me get that up here on the screen for you. There we go. Good to see everybody in the chat. Welcome. If you're not a subscriber to our Samba Tree YouTube page, make sure you check that out. Go ahead and consider subscribing to it. We put a lot of great information over there as well. So let me go ahead and play this video. Take a listen.
For many of us, it is time to shift and shed. The old job, the old relationship, the old city, the old habit cycle. These are things that we've held on to because they are familiar. It's what we do, right? It's what we do. It's what we're used to. So we keep staying there because it's what we know. But we're not happy because it is the old season. Staying in the old season is like standing under a tree that no longer produces any fruit. There is no nourishment anymore, and you no longer have the bandwidth to stay in that season and prosper, right? You feel a calling and a pull to go to the next phase, the next stage of your life, but you say, oh, I can't do that. Well, how could I move? And how could I start a new business? And how could I change? And how could I've been doing these things. All of those questions are just fear speaking, disguised as practicality. That's not the real you, okay? The real you really wants to move on. The higher you wants to move on. It wants the next thing, you know? But something happens when we try to stay in the old season. That thing you're holding on to, the job, the relationship, it is either going to rot and decay in your hand, or you are going to rot and decay holding it. One of the two, right? You're either going to watch it shrivel up, or you're going to watch yourself shrink and shrivel up while you're trying to hold on to it, because it is over. It is over. It's the old season. It's done. There's no more life there, right? What you have to do is you have to follow the momentum, follow that calling, that pulling, that's pulling you towards more, that's pulling you towards the you that you really want to be and the life that you really want to build. Follow that. Follow that. That is what you need to do. Let go of the familiar and move towards what's fresh for you right now. So you want to shed the old so you can shift into the new. That's how that works. I have coached women in life and business for more than a decade, and I am opening up my coaching calendar for one-on-one coaching, 8 weeks, you and me together in an intense container, helping you remove the blocks that are keeping you stuck, allowing you to move into the person that you have always wanted to be and build the life you have always wanted to live. I've only opened up a couple of spots on my coaching calendar because it's one-on-one. We go deep and I give a lot of me. So if you are ready to shed the old, shift into the new, and become your best right now in this season, not the old one, check out sambatree.com, click on coaching for more information and see if it's a fit for you. I'd love to work with you.
All right, there it is. So so now we're getting into coaching now, and when I say getting into, I'm sorry, that was probably a bad word. This is something that I know my wife and we have done this for decades. Not gonna lie to you. Okay. And, we have done many one-on-one things, many. And we've coached people anywhere from, now this is something that's going to be mainly her, okay? And that's going to be her thing. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if a situation arises where we have a male that's coming in and needs that it's a male and female, then she may pull me in for certain things. But no, she is the one that absolutely, yes, she's going to be, this is something that she is doing. And it's not just like a one day just thinking about, let's do coaching. No, this is something we've been doing for years, like literally for years. And so we've, she has dealt with people anywhere from just people, just regardless of the financial stuff. I mean, we've dealt with people who are just regularly, financial, level to people in the up there, multiple businesses and all of that. And so what she's going to be getting into is really trying to help you to get into that place where you are trying to get to, or, really, you need somebody that's going to ask you those hard questions so you can make those adjustments and all of that. This is not something where she's just going to throw a bunch of information at you and be like, see you later or whatever. No, all of us need somebody that we can walk with and walk through as we're going through different things and as we're making adjustments. And that's what we're going to be touching on in this broadcast. And so what she's going to be offering is just that. So if you are somebody or somebody is ready for that. So this ain't just about health per se. It's not really dealing with health. It's not necessarily just business. It encompasses the whole person. All right. So when you go, so as she said in the video, go to sambatree.com and then we just added the menu option there. You'll see coaching. Click on that and it'll give you all the information right there. Okay. It'll tell you everything. So again, the website is sambatree.com. I told you we are very committed in getting people to a place of maximize health and wellness. All right. Just the whole round. Okay. It's not just about selling stuff. It's really about providing this much needed information, and whatever you do with it at the end of the day, well, that's up to you. But we're here for that. Okay. So make sure you check that out again. That's Sabatree.com. Okay, let's get into the main topic here, what we're going to be talking about here. As I told you, as I said earlier in the broadcast, I said, I'm sure by now many of you, you have seen or maybe heard of the whole Anton Daniels, versus Corey Holcomb, that whole debate discussion thing that's going on. And like I said, I'll just give you just a very, very quick rundown of what happened, because I told you I'm not playing that video at all. I'm not playing any portions of it at all. But in a nutshell, this was a discussion that turned heated, where Anton Daniels, who is a very successful podcaster here on YouTube, and I think he's also on TikTok as well, or maybe I'm sure on some other platforms. And he talks about a wide range of things. He talks about news. He talks about, current events. He gets into, some other things, but, and I also know he's, for him, he offers services where he helps people in the area of wanting to boost their finances and that kind of stuff. So he does a lot. Anton Daniels does a lot there, but he is coming from the vantage point of someone who's a conservative, Republican conservative, who he's also says he's a Christian. So that's his vantage point. That's where he's coming from. Well, Corey Holcomb is the opposite. I think that's all I can say. He's pretty much the opposite of all of that. His meaning that he ain't a Christian. Okay, he's definitely not that. And he's an entertainer. That's his business. That's what he does. He's an entertainer, and he's met some success out there, in the entertainment field, but he, like many other entertainers, they have found that by doing podcasts, this is it gives them an opportunity to help really build organically their audience. And, some entertainers, it works quite well for them. Others, it not so much. But, for him, I guess it's working out okay for him. And so, I've watched quite a few of his podcasts or whatever. Me personally, his comedy is not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm not really into the raunchy stuff, but some other people are. For me, it's really not my cup of tea on that, but that's just my little whatever at that. Okay. But anyway, he invited Anton Daniels on here because they were going to he was going to pretty much confront him on, man, why is it that you're always seemingly coming down on black folks and all of that? And Anton, he came in with his, rebuttals on that and saying, no, I talk about everybody and all of that. And so, but Corey was pretty much stuck on the fact that, that it, well, at least to him, it seems like Anton always is talking down on black folks. And so from there, it just blew up into some just two old men just arguing, going back and forth at each other. And it just turned very heated, where basically there was threats that were made and, we're going to step outside and all of that. And it just, that's pretty much the gist of it. And so since then, both of them have been uploading videos attacking one another and all of that. And I told y'all when I talked about this before, I think the thing that really stuck out to me wasn't so much what was going on behind those microphones. It was the fact that I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing, of course, there was a lot of people in the chat, but man, people were throwing money literally left and right at this thing. I mean, you know how you do if someone's live and you see people, they'll do $5 or $20 or $50 or $100 or whatever. I mean, the money was just coming in left and right. And I'm sitting here watching this and I was like, wow. So this is what really works. This is the formula. This is the formula, when we see a lot of high drama and mess, this is what a lot of people really want to invest in. And so it's gotten ugly, and it's with no end in sight on it, because I'm sure it's just going to continue on until it just fades out or whatever. And then, of course, you got people, picking sides and, well, he said this and I think he shouldn't have said that. Like Anton Daniels, he was saying that, listen, I think Corey Holcomb asked him straight up. He said, listen, do you see yourself as black? And he said, no, I actually see myself. Well, he didn't say no. He said that I see myself as a Christian first. And then from there, I guess it's Christian, black, and all of that. I understood what he was saying. But in this day and age, you're going to run into a lot of problems answering that way. And I say that to anybody that's a Christian out there. When you are trying to engage in discussions that are, and you're talking about black folks, that may have worked a while back, but it doesn't work now. It doesn't work now because now people's eyes are starting to become open to what Christianity really is. And they're seeing the disconnect between Christianity and our blackness, so to speak. Right. And and so people are, they're starting to see this stuff for what it is and begin to call it out for what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really go into a debate talking like that, but that was the only observe. And then that's where the whole thing just went way south on that one. So, but I'm not, like I said, again, we're not playing any clips on this. We're not going to go into all of that. And I'm going to pause here and I'm going to give you my analysis. I am not analyzing foolishness. Okay. I'm not doing that. Okay. But I do want to talk about the much bigger issue here. Now, we've just entered in 2026, right? I don't care what calendar you go by, whatever, but let's just create a baseline here. We just entered into 2026. And when I saw this, I said, wow, this ain't no different than what it was a few weeks ago. It's the same stuff. When I'm on X, when I'm on the X platform, I notice now that engagement, what we call engagement online in general, has drastically changed, I would say, in the last year. Because engagement online used to be something where you post something that is what you would think is an interesting topic to talk about or discuss or whatever. But now you have what I would call rage engagement. For example, I'll give you just like I went through, it was like a short training I paid for it or whatever. And they were talking about one of the things you can do to increase your engagement on social media is when you do a thumbnail, intentionally misspell a word. I'm not playing. This is what they were telling me. They said, do something like this, intentionally misspell a word, because that in of itself would get a lot of people engaged into your post, because how many people are just looking for a way to correct somebody on a daily basis on social media? So yeah, so they were giving advice like that. Now it's gotten even worse. It's going beyond that. You got people now that will post things knowing full well that it's not even true information. It's just completely false. And people will call them out on it. They'll even get community noted on it, and they still leave it up because they know that people will engage in it. So social media now, you got the bots, right? We got bots that do their thing, in China and India and Africa or whatever. But you also got real people behind these things that are posting things that they don't really care if it's for the better. They're not thinking about the betterment of people. Their focus is the betterment of their pocket. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're thinking about. And so a lot of the content that unfortunately that you're seeing now, and it's going to continue to happen, is going to be geared towards that. And that includes all of these little debates, these fake debates, these arguments and stuff like that. Behind the scenes, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of these people are friends. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's all fun and games for them. Meanwhile, you got people who are real people who are watching this stuff, and blood pressure going up, they're getting angrier, they're getting bitter and all this other stuff in their real lives, engaging in this stuff and even having debates and arguments in their own head over a post that they saw that was posted by someone who don't give two craps about you. They really don't. And so I just want to make sure you guys understand that in this social media world, This is where it's going now. Well, we're here. You got people that'll post all kind of stuff, and it's just in the name of engagement. And so for black folks, especially in this day and era that we're in right now, we simply can't afford that. We can't afford playing games like that. The stress level, and I'm gonna read you something that I was working on. It's really, really something. I shared it with a few people earlier today, a couple of people earlier today, and it was just like, wow, this is it. We are in a time right now where we have to return to our baseline. And what do I mean by that? For those of you who've been following me, you know I've been talking nothing but nature. I'm just nature. I'm always talking about nature, right? And usually that topic, a lot of times people just kind of tune out on that because it's like, okay, all right. I want to hear, give me something I can be angry with, or, you know, to reach one of my emotions. I'm not doing that. So if you're looking for an emotional something from me, you're not going to get that on this platform. You're not. That's why the views typically on my lives especially are pretty low, because I ain't doing that. I'm not screaming. I'm not yelling at people. I'm not going to host a debate. I'm not doing any of that. But I am focused on you. I'm focused on getting you to a much better place in your health and in your wellness as you do look at these different topics that are very real that's out here, so that we can look at it from a more mature place where it's not impacting where we should be as individuals, right? So when I'm talking about nature, nature, as I said in this post, I was talking about nature is the baseline. It's the baseline. And then you remember I showed you that image where it had all those different spheres on there. It's on our community post page. And I was saying each one of those spheres represents a different narrative or construct or whatever. And yes, we may live in a certain construct, but those constructs should never define who we are, right? And your feet should always be planted in nature itself, all right? I know like I said, just go back to the earlier post or whatever where I really go into this. Let me kind of bring it in a little bit more, okay? So I did a post just recently. I'll bring it up here. I'm not going to read it all, but this is part of a series that I've been on where it's going, if you follow this series, if we do it right, it really is going to change lives. And I'm not just saying that's, whoa, you being bold. Yes, I am. I am being very bold with this. I'm being very bold because I know this is true. Let me show you this, what I'm talking about. So right here. Oh, let me mention this real quick here. My email address, connect at journeymanandwoman.com. That doesn't work anymore. Okay. I'm just done with that service. So I'm going to this one here. It's right here on the screen. So if you're wanting to email me, this is the email address. Okay. So that's the email address, brand new email address. We're not using that one. Okay. So when I started talking about this topic, I said, man, we are really on to something here. I think we're really on to something, because it all started with, I told you, it was some discussion or something that I was reading, and, it was some white people basically insinuating that black people, and they say black people, that just anyone darker than them, particularly from Africa, because that's usually what they mean when they say black folks. Black people tend to be on the lower end of the IQ scale. Now, if you look at the IQ scale, it's absolutely true. According to the IQ scale, black people tend to be on the lower end of that. But see, I'm not operating on your IQ because we didn't develop your IQ system. You did. Do you understand what I'm saying? You developed that standard. But the way you measure people, the intellect of people, that's based off of you. You created the standard and you made yourself the standard. Where everybody else is, well, if you're not at where we are, then the hell with you. You just ain't what it is. You're below. You fail. But what we're talking about in this series is this, and this is related to, this whole, I told you, we're going past the whole Anton thing, okay? Because we're going past and we're going to bring it back, okay? So when you're looking at, so what we're talking about is this in this series. We talked about how with black folks, when it comes to mathematics, in this construct and the rulers of this construct, black folks, on the most part, when it comes to mathematics, the way they define it, we're not really ranked high on that. But does that mean we don't understand that? No, it doesn't. The way we learn is different than what other people learn. It doesn't make us better. It just means that we function a little bit different. We learn things a little bit different. And in this series, I took you to the kitchen of your grandmother. And I told you how your grandmother just instinctively knows what measurement to put in and at what temperature to put it on and how much to stir it and how much to bake it and all of that. She instinctively knows all of that. That is all mathematics. It is. I took you back even further in Africa, on the continent of Africa, how you have the people who work with metal. And how they instinctively knew the physics and everything else. They knew all of that. All the math that's needed, it's in us. Understanding things, black folks, the way we understand things is that we embody it. I want you to hear what I'm saying. You know how they say, black people, y'all just so emotional. And sometimes we look at that as a negative, but I'm here to tell you that is not a negative. We just are miscalibrated. Because that emotion and all of that, we feel. The way we learn things, we learn by feeling. We learn by embodying it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that includes math. So I'm just starting with math here, but we're going to get into other things too. So this is how we feel to learn. This is why when you see black folks in church, for example, the hardest thing to separate black folks from is religion. Because in religion, we embody it. We're not just reading the Bible. We literally embody the Bible to the point where we are literally going with a paintbrush and saying everybody in the Bible is black. So that's how much we embody it. There is no other race that I'm aware of. I mean, white people that say that he's white or whatever. I don't care. Okay. But you got white people that do. If I was to go to Japan today, the Christian Japanese that are there today, you're not going to see a Japanese Jesus. Okay. You're not going to see a Japanese Jesus. He's going to be white. And sadly, even in Africa, in many places, you're still going to see a white Jesus, right? When you come over here, we take the image of Jesus and we make him black because this is how we feel. This is how we learn, we absorb, right? And that's how we learn things. So math is no different. Math is absolutely no different when it comes to how we learn. It's not that we're ignorant and we can't, what 2 plus 2? I don't know what 2 plus. No, that's not it at all. We instinctively know this. It's in you. Remember the example I always give of the seed, right? The seed has everything it needs to become whatever it is it's supposed to grow into. You are no different. Do you understand? So what happens is that when we put ourselves in environments that are just emotional, what happens is we stay in that state. But you're not designed for that. And with that, let me get to this right here. Let me pull this up here because this is what I want to talk to you about. Okay, this was something I was working on. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Let me pull this up for you. There we go. Here we go. I thought this was really good. All right. All right, I said, okay, here we go. Nature doesn't experience stress, but it does not identify with it. This is the key difference. A drought happens, a storm comes, a predator appears. There is a response, then a return to baseline. Plants don't replay yesterday's drought in their nervous system. Animals don't build identities around near misses. There is no narrative loop. Stress is situational, not existential. Did I say that right? Anyway, humans, on the other hand, live inside constructed time. We replay the past. We rehearse imagined futures. We attach meanings, judgment, and identity to temporary conditions. That's where chronic stress is born, not from events, but from prolonged interpretations. And then it said, you also write about disease and imbalance in nature. Because what I was saying, I didn't show you my prompt there, but what I was saying was, I said, you notice in nature, you don't see, when you're looking at animals and plants, they typically don't carry disease. Now, there are instances, yes, you have plants that can catch disease, right? Likewise, in certain animals, they can catch disease, but you don't hear of deer just, they always are dealing with chronic levels of cancer, for example, chronic levels of certain things. It's never like that. It may impact them, a few of them, but it's not to the level of, I'll just continue to read it so you'll see what I'm saying. I think you guys got where I'm going there. So when something is on, okay, here we go. Cancer exists, but it rarely becomes an epidemic. We're talking about in nature. Obesity exists, but not systemically. Degeneration happens, but not as a normalized lifestyle. Why? Because nature operates on feedback, not override. Did you catch that? Nature operates on feedback, not on override. And here's the next line. When something is off, the system corrects. Excess energy gets burned. Scarcity triggers conservation. Rest is not negotiated. It happens. So here's another example I can give you. So your body, if you were to get a paper cut on your skin right now, what would your body do? It would immediately switch to healing. That's what it's talking about. Your body just naturally, or just nature in period. If I was to cut down a bunch of trees, what would nature do? It will start growing some more trees. Right? That's what it does. It says, okay, well, let's shift the energy over here. We're going to start growing some more trees. You try to wipe out, well, there's too many deer in the area. We're going to have to start hunting them down. You try to do that, give it a few years, guess what? Nature's going to respond and give you some more deer. You cut your hair, guess what happens? Nature says, okay, I'm going to start growing it back. This is how nature operates. Okay? All right. Humans, with all of our intelligence, invented ways to ignore feedback. Eat without hunger. Why are you eating? It's just that time of the day, I guess. Are you hungry? No. Well, why are you eating? That's an imbalance. Work without rest. Stimulate without recovery. Think without stillness. Technology didn't create the problem by itself. The deeper issue is that we elevated abstraction above embodiment. We started trusting plans, clocks, markets, and beliefs more than the signals of the body and the rhythms of the environment. And then it said, you said something especially important. Nature actually embodies the solutions. And then it says, nature doesn't solve stress. Nature doesn't store it. It doesn't solve stress. It doesn't store it. The human nervous system was never designed to live in constant symbolic pressure. deadlines, identities, comparisons, imagined scarcity. These are recent inventions. Our biology is ancient. Y'all, I want you to hear what I'm saying to you on that one. Our biology, the way we're made up, it's ancient. Our biology has been around for a very, very, very long time. Very long time. Okay? We ain't some just a recent iteration. We have been around for a very long time. The way our bodies are made up. Okay, let's go on. Listen. This is why practices that look primitive or simple keep resurfacing as solutions. So what I always tell y'all, did you do your breathing exercises? So breathing, sunlight, movement, fasting, stillness, community, rhythm. These aren't hacks. These are their returns. So when you go outside, you notice how yesterday something happened and I blew my top. This is me talking, right? And at the moment, it kind of knocked me off my feet a little bit. But what did I do? I said, I don't know. It was like almost like a natural instinct. I left the house and I just went for a walk. I came back and by the time I got back, I felt better. I was out there in that sunlight, that breeze was hitting my face. I was around the grass and all of that. And it just did something where it just gave me enough reset to continue on. And by the end of the day, before my eyes closed, everything resolved itself. This is where I'm trying to get y'all to get to. You think I'm going to sit up here and go a blow-by-blow play on what Anton Daniel said and versus Corey Holcomb and all of that? You think I'm going to waste my time with that foolishness? No, we got to move forward. We got to move upward. And that's what we're doing here. Here's the uncomfortable truth most systems don't want to admit. Many modern problems persist not because we lack solutions, but because the solutions cannot be monetized, sped up, or abstracted. Nature doesn't scale, nature doesn't hurry, nature doesn't perform. And that makes it inconvenient to systems built on perpetual acceleration. So when humans suffer in ways that trees and animals and ecosystems generally don't, it's not because we're more advanced. It's because we spent centuries practicing disconnection from our own design. When we disconnect ourselves from nature, when we disconnect ourselves from doing breathing exercises, when we disconnect ourselves from exposing ourselves to sunlight, when we disconnect ourselves from the way we eat, getting back to eating the way we're supposed to be eating, valuing silence, when we disconnect ourselves from these things, what happens? It creates a whole cottage industry for all of these things. All right. The real question becomes, how much of what we call normal human life is actually a prolonged state of misalignment? And once you see that clearly, the goal stops being fixing yourself and starts becoming remembering how to live inside the same intelligence that already knows how to regulate, heal, and adapt. You see that? This is where we are to be. This is where we're to live. This is where we're to live. This is the place that we have to be in so that when we do engage in this construct, we're engaging from a place of peace. We're engaging from that baseline where you, like someone said, you're getting your sleep, right? You're eating right. You're removing yourself from toxic people. I got something for that too. Let me pull that up here. Someone posted this on X. I thought this was a very good thing. I'll just read it to you here. Someone posted this. They said, research shows repeated complaining physically rewires your brain to prioritize stress and negativity. The way we speak about our daily challenges does more than just vent frustrations. It physically alters the architecture of the brain. We've talked about this before. When we engage in chronic complaining, we repeatedly activate neural networks responsible for detecting threats and processing stress. Though the biological process of neuroplasticity, I said through the biological process of neuroplasticity, these circuits become stronger and more efficient every time they are used. Essentially, the brain learns to become more adept at finding things to be unhappy about, turning a temporary mood into a permanent biological predisposition towards negativity and fear-based thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. This is, if you want to rank things that black folks need to focus on, is what I just read to you. If your appetite is always on your timeline, people arguing, people fighting, people cussing each other out, what you are doing is that you are setting the tone for your whole life. If that's the thing that really grabs your attention the most. When you do that, you are literally confirming and you're just solidifying bad habits. You could tell yourself all the time, it's just entertainment for me. No, it's not entertainment. It's a confirmation of who you are. Your body, everything about your natural body is fighting against that. But every time you engage in that kind of stuff, that media, what you're doing is you're telling your body to shut up. And no, this is what we are to align with. Okay. So anyway, let's go in here. I'll read that part again. Through the biological process of neuroplasticity, these circuits become stronger and more efficient every time they are used. Essentially, the brain learns to become more adept at finding things to be unhappy about, turning a temporary mood into a permanent biological predisposition towards negativity and fear-based thinking. All right, move on. As these negative pathways become the brain's default setting, individuals often experience a measurable increase in baseline stress levels and emotional volatility. These heightened sensitivities mean that even minor inconveniences can trigger an intense stress response because the brain has been conditioned to interpret the world through a lens of threat. Now let's pause here for a second. This is why these powers that shouldn't be are doing everything they can to get black folks involved in this whole ICE nonsense. You see how we just brought it on back? You see it just come on back to we're talking about the news right now. We're literally talking about the news right now. You see how it just brings it right back. The reason why, and I've talked about this on this platform over and over again, this country, this world system has already they have programmed black folks that they said, listen, anytime we need to get something on and popping, we need to give it to black folks because black folks are emotional. And what did I just say about emotion? The reason why we're emotional is because that is how we learn. This is how we observe things. When we are trying to learn something, it's not as effective writing it down as in just put me into it. Just drop me in, or I'll figure it out. Let me just figure it out. And that's how we learn. But see, what happens is this system has tricked so many of us to put us in these perpetual environments where it's all 100% emotional. We're not supposed to be living in all emotional all the time, extreme emotion. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you immerse yourself into learning something, it's not always like, you're not getting possessed. It's not that. Most of the time, when you are a healthy individual, when we are immersing ourselves and trying to figure it out and trying to learn, most of the time, you're doing what? You're being quiet. You're listening. You're taking it in. Now, if you're a musician, for example, what are you doing? You like, Many of y'all, you remember, I'm talking to the guys now. I'm sure maybe some of you sisters too, in lunch, for example, you be sitting up in there. Sometimes you be driving someone crazy, man. Let me see if I got a pen up here. Like you get a pen or something, you up here, you be listening to something, you listening to the music and you go. You just taking it all in, right? And you absorbing that, right? You're absorbing it. You're absorbing it. That's how we learn. This is how we learn. Same thing. We get into it, and then finally, we absorb it so much, and then finally, what's the next thing that happens? Next thing you know, you start coming up with your own lyrics. You start coming up with your own stuff. And now, next thing you know, you got a whole song that you spun off of the bass line and the beat of somebody else's song. Right? You see how that works? So that is a normal way for us to learn. That's how we're supposed to learn. So likewise, if you immerse yourself into entertainment and all of this other nonsense where people are always arguing and fighting one another, what do you think is going to come out of that? It's not going to be anything positive. Instead, what's going to happen is, just like I gave you that little quick demo from back in the day, where it sparked a creativity in me where I'm like, okay, I remember that. Okay. And then all of a sudden now I'm putting my words to it. Next thing I know, I got my whole thing. All right. That's bringing out what's naturally in me. But if I'm always taking in, the Corey Holcombs and all this stuff, and they going in and talking about people's moms and their wives and their children and all that other stuff. And yeah, she bust that wide open, all that other foolishness. What do you think is going to come out of that? Nothing. Well, nothing productive. That's what I mean when I say nothing. That's what's going to come out of that. So ask yourself, do you think this whole discussion, debate, that we're talking about, how is that moving black folks forward? How is that even moving black folks forward at all? I think, did I read this last part? Let me read this last part here. It says, as these negative pathways become the brain's default setting, individuals often experience a measurable increase in baseline stress levels and emotional volatility. I think I did read this. I'll read it again. This heightened sensitivity means that even minor inconveniences can trigger an intense stress response because the brain has been conditioned to interpret the world through a lens of threat. Findings discussed by the Stanford University School of Medicine emphasizes that while this mechanism is powerful, understanding the science of effective neuroscience is the first step in consciously redirecting those pathways towards more resilient emotional patterns. That is where we need to be. Okay, that's where we need to be. This is where you need to live. And so that's what we're doing in this series that I'm talking about as far as like going back as far back as I can and bringing it up to now and showing you different examples where we're just starting with math. We're just starting with math, right? And I'm going to show you, I'm going to give examples in physics. I'm going to give you some examples in calculus and other mathematics, just basic examples. I'm not a math, guess what? By this system standards, I'm not a mathematician. Oh yeah, I'm really putting myself out there, right? But I am going to show you how this basic knowledge and understanding of these things, it's already in you. They just been teaching you in a way that you just don't learn that way. You understand what I'm saying? But when I show you that, okay, this is just, here's the problem, let's figure it out. But we're not going to figure out the way that it's been normally taught to us. Let's do it this way. And I guarantee you, I don't care how young you are or how old you are, you're gonna know how to do it. You're like, dang, if I could do that, I could build a rocket. Look out, Elon. Anyway. Yeah, don't do that. But anyway, but what I'm saying is that's where we're getting into. It's in us. And that's what we're going to be tapping into. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm very excited about that. And again, do not give yourself into this dark matter. That's what I have on the title here. It's dark matter. This is stuff that we shouldn't even be touching right now. There are too many things that are going on in the world right now. And to see all of these different things that are going on right now, and then I turn back. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, right? You go back and you got people arguing, fussing, fighting, going after you a tether, you this. I'm not getting to any of that. I'm done. I'm literally been constantly go through my social media, and I'm muting and I'm blocking. I'm saying, I don't want to hear, I don't want to see any of that, because that's not doing anything for me. It's not moving anything forward. So anyway, so I just wanted to share about that. But let's turn the page here, and let me talk about this next story. Let me just play a few minutes of this. I told y'all we're just gonna break it up a little bit. This is the other version of that African Violet song. I just like it. I like both of them, but I'll play this. I'm just gonna play a little bit of it, and then we're gonna get into our next story. Okay, so let me just play this while I kind of get everything keyed up here for the next story that we're gonna talk about. Okay, here we go.
They took me from my window, put me under neon lights, said grow the same, don't ask why, in somebody else's climate. Told me bloom wherever planted, but they never changed the soil. Still I learned to bend towards something. Still I learned to save my joy. I grew quiet, I grew careful, learned to drink just what I need. But don't confuse my adaptation for the limit of my seed. I ain't broken, I ain't small, I'm just listening to the room. I was built for gentle waters, not the pressure of this gloom. Hey, I'm an African violet, I don't bloom just anywhere.
All right, just give me a little bit more, y'all, and then we're going to get back into it, okay?
They keep measuring my petals, by the ruler of the stone. Wonder why I don't grow reckless, in a place that hates my phone. I learned patience, I learned silence, I learned power, don't need noise. I don't waste my energy trying to impress a void. Every leaf a declaration, every root a quiet plan. I am not what you allow me. I'm more than where I stand. I can feel another climate.
Almost done, y'all. This is almost done.
I don't curse the place I'm in, but I won't confuse it with my name.
Hey!
I'm an African violet. I don't bloom just anywhere. I don't break myself for survival. I require love and care. I'm an African violet, still restrained but still complete. I don't shrink to fit the system. I remember who I be. They say, why you so sensitive? I say you're so sensitive. I say that's how I survive.
All right, I had to get that out of me. Okay, all right, here we go. Hey, All right. Okay, we're gonna bring it back. Okay, the lyrics of that song is on our community page here on YouTube, so you want to check it out. They're right there. So, okay, so let's get back into it. Let me bring you to this. There was one story that I found to be. This is the type of preachers that give comedians like Drewski, all the information that they need, all the data that they need. They don't have to do a whole lot of digging. I want you to check this out there. This is a real pastor. Pastor Todd Hall, not familiar with him, but this is Pastor Todd Hall. He is telling his people, something here. Something that God told them to tell them. God told them this, okay? I want you to keep in mind. So I want you to listen to this request, that came straight from the throne to Pastor Todd.
But Lord said, I want to make a multi-millionaire out of someone, but they have to sow $10,000. He said, and they have to do that within 90 seconds. If you're going to do it, get it now, write the check. If you do this, God said, I'm going to make you a multi-millionaire. I wish it was me. But
And yes, that is very real, y'all. It's not AI. It's very real. So he's saying that the Bible God is telling him that he can't do anything unless you send him a check for, what's it, 10,000? And you got to do it in 90 seconds. That's the first time. I've never heard that condition. In 90 seconds. And then, they got to break it down. They're like, the 9 represents, whatever. Psalms 90 and you the 1, whatever. Anyway, they got to make up all kinds of stuff. Anyway, let's move on here. Where is that next article here? Let's get to this next article here. Well, I told you guys, that Israel wasn't going to be playing around. I said that they have already said very clearly that they're going to be dumping a whole lot of money this year in 2026 to churches, to wherever, to preach the good news about Zionism and how Israel is the Holy Land. And, they are moving hard and they're moving very fast. I just read an article where they said Florida, the state of Florida just passed a law where they said that you are no longer allowed. Here we are. We're here now. To refer to the Gaza Strip as the West Bank. This is the state of Florida. They're saying now you have to refer to it as Judea and Samaria. I'm not making this up. Do I have it here? Do I have it here? Let me see. Yep. You have to. Now it's right here. It is right here. Here it is. Pointing it up on the screen here. It's right here. This is a bill that they're pushing right now. Florida House of Representatives, HB 31, recognizing Judea and Samaria. General bill by Tremont and Tendrich, the co-sponsors, and then they name all the other people. Recognizing Judea and Samaria prohibits use of the term West Bank in official government materials, prohibits the use of monies to create official government materials using such term, provides exception. Effective date, July the 1st, 2026. I'm telling you, they're moving very hard. They're moving very hard with this. There was someone in Florida that there was a local, I think it was in Miami, if I'm not mistaken, a woman, she wrote a social media post that was very critical of the mayor, of his stance as far as Zionism is concerned. And next thing you know, she gets a knock at the door from someone from the, he sent some bullies at her door. Like, what are you talking about? That kind of nonsense. Man, I'm so glad. When I tell you, I am so glad I'm so glad we moved from Florida. I just went. That's probably one of the best decisions I made. For those of you who are still in Florida, I just hope for the best for you. But they run that. I mean, they running that, and it's getting worse and worse. It really is. But this story here, I told y'all that what did we talk about? We talked about how the Kojic, Church of God in Christ, and the AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church, they had sent representatives over to Israel because they just recently had this conference over there inviting all these pastors from all over and had them make pledges that they were going to be ambassadors for Israel, that they were going to use their platform to push Zionism. And we went through the list of all the pastors and ministries that were there. And yeah, as far as black denominations are concerned, those two were confirmed. They were there. There were some other people in ministry, people I know that my wife and I actually worked with when we were in Christendom. I wasn't surprised at all to see their names up there. But it was disappointed to see that they're still pushing these same narratives. But yeah. But anyway, so Israel has found a very creative way to push their narrative. As you know, that Israel is pulling at the coattails of America and saying, please go and destroy Iran, bring Iran down. And they're just pulling at the coattails of America. And, Trump is going to do what they're telling him to do because he's on their leash. And so anyway, Mossad got with this guy. I'm not familiar with this dude. Maybe some of y'all are, but I'm not familiar with him. They got with this guy here. And he's a online comedian, whatever. And like I said, I'm not familiar with this dude here, but I'm gonna get into the article. His name is where is it? Where's this dude here? His name is Desi Banks. Desi Banks. I don't know him. Maybe some of y'all know him. I don't know him. But anyway, new Mossad recruitment ad exploit Iran's unrest with the help from U.S. comedian. Mossad has taken advantage of deadly riots that rocked Iran this month to solicit spies through a series of social media ads. In one of history's strangest collaborations, the Israeli intel agency has purchased the ads through an LLC owned by Atlanta-based stand-up comic Desi Banks. And they gave an update here, but let's get into the article itself here. It says, days after anti-government rioters spread mayhem across Iranian cities, Israel's Mossad published a new series of Farsi language online recruitment ads. The Israeli Foreign Intelligence Service has taken partial credit for the deadly unrest, pledging in a December 29 Twitter/X post that its agents were in the field with protesters. Now it is escalating its infiltration efforts by soliciting spies inside Iran and throughout the Persian diaspora. One of the most recent ads appeared January the 14th in the Twitter X account associated with Israeli intelligence Paya Me ABI. It featured a short AI video showing an Iranian protester seated defiantly in the middle of a street, confronting a phalanx of state security officers on motorbikes. Your role, Iranians abroad, is vital. The tweet by that account I just mentioned declares the final days of the regime have arrived. If you know someone who works in sensitive industries and centers, call us. Our organization is by your side. And that's the post right there. All right. The text is followed by a link to a Google form which allows potential recruits to apply as Mossad informants, promising the protection and lucrative rewards. At the center of the recruitment form is an image of a tattooed arm holding a trash bag emblazoned with the logo of the Islamic Republic of Iran. It reads, "Build the future, opportunities. It is right now." A separate Mossad recruitment ad also released on January the 14th makes explicit reference to the violent upheaval inside of Iran. Our organization has heard the voice of you, the people of Iran, and it is planning its final blows against the regime. Your compatriots inside Iran are engaged in a fateful struggle, and we stand to help you. As Iranians far from the homeland, you feel a sense of helplessness these days, which is understandable, but some of you can play a vital role in this stage. And then it goes on, right? So that's the whole post right there. But now enter in Agent Cornbread. Why? Anyway, the Mossad has placed several recruitment ads on YouTube and other Google-owned social media platforms through Desi Banks Productions, LLC, and a company owned by a black Atlanta-based comedian known for urban-themed stand-up comedy and online video sketches like How Them Pimps Used to Be Black Back in the Day, Going to Yoga with a White Girl for the First Time, and How It Be When Skinny Dude is with a Big Girl. You know, things that really build up the intelligence of black folks, you know, that kind of stuff. Banks might be the luckiest conduit for highly sensitive Mossad operations. On the other hand, the comedian apolitical profile and likely need for production support might have made him the perfect candidate for an intelligence agency seeking to conceal its fingerprints. Is Banks aware of this company? Is Banks aware that his company is responsible for buying Mossad recruitment ads on Google? Or did Israeli intelligence rely on another entity to deceive Banks? The Gray Zone visited that address, and it goes on. It says they went to the actual offices of his, ad company, and there was no. When they're like literally trying to chase this dude down and trying to find out, dude, you do know what you're literally working with Mossad, and they can't find this dude anywhere. They can't find this dude anywhere. But I want you to see, I'm bringing this up because it brings up a very interesting point. There are a lot of content creators out here, that can use, that, if someone was to come along and say, hey, listen, let me drop 1,000, let me drop 10,000, let me drop 50,000 or whatever. And they'll take it and they won't ask any questions. This happens literally all the time. And but when so people, if these individuals aren't investigating and finding out, okay, what exactly what kind of ads is this about, or delving in and getting in deeper, before just snatching the bag, you could easily be used by these people. Let me give you a case in point. I've been meaning to sit down and watch. I've missed a couple of the countries that I Show Speed, that YouTuber that's out there right now going and visiting all the African countries. Someone pointed out, because I was like looking at him, right, because he always got his bodyguards. His bodyguards are all black, the ones I've seen. He may have some that aren't black, but most of the ones I've seen are black. But then he's got his little crew that follows him too. And I saw this white girl, I'm like, what's she doing there? And I said, well, it's probably a publicist or whatever. So, I put my eye, my side eye, I'm still looking because I'm like, this, I don't know. I said, I don't know this. I don't know. I'll just get my side eyes start going up. I'm like, this ain't something about this, right? And sure enough, guess what came out? Now, this is allegedly now. I don't know if I heard him confirm this or not, but apparently that girl, she is the girlfriend of one of the people on his crew. And guess what? She's an IDF soldier. And I said, if they don't get that woman and her boyfriend and change all the passwords tonight, they need to get all them out of here. I knew it. I said, just something ain't right about that. Something ain't right about that. But they do this all the time. They always latch themselves to particularly our culture. And they know because a lot of times people just don't take the time to investigate. And this is what we encourage our people to do, which brings us to the last point. The last thing I want to show you guys. This is let me just do a screenshot of this because I tried to do it a different way and it just wasn't working. So let me show you this. So apparently on X, okay, well, they saying X, but I'll say on Grok, okay. There is a way, if you ask Grok, now Grok, Grok, right? For those of you who don't know, think of ChatGPT, but this is Elon Musk version of it. Okay. For those of you who aren't aware of that. There is a way, and they're connected. Grok is connected to X, right? They're both connected. They're on the same platform, slightly different, but same platform. Someone found a way to ask Grok and say, hey, listen, I want you to look at my account and I want you to see if my account has any flags on it. And if there are any flags on it, tell me why. And so they are coming out and saying, oh, no, this is inaccurate information. It's just going to give you some basic stuff, but it ain't like really giving you that information. Right. So anyway, what I did was, so they pointed it out to me. They told me someone posted it. They told me how to do it. I was like, okay, bet. Let me take a look at this and let me see. Was it going to tell me, look at my account. Now I told you, like, my account is like, it's a nothing burger, but I do, I engage with people. I post things on there and all of that, but I ain't like trying to build some kind of like following there. I'm really not, if anything, it's more valuable to me just to see the news that's coming through there than me trying to build some personality on there. Cause I deal with enough here on YouTube. I ain't trying to, X is a whole nother wild, wild west. I ain't trying to get into like that. But anyway, so I ran the little program, the request, and I'm gonna show you on the screen what it came back. So I know this is a lot here, but I will kind of go through it here. Okay. I know it's tiny. I can't do anything about that. So if you putting your reading glasses on, you could do that, but I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to do the best I can, y'all. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'll just point out the highlight parts. They say classification. So right off the top, look how they got me flagged, y'all. Hate and harassment. Anti-Semitic content promotion, moderate level. Confidence, moderate high, and it's at 82%. Now, when they say 82%, moderate high, when it's at 82%, what they're saying is 100%, that means that there's no restrictions on your stuff, right? But I'm at 82, which means they're definitely throttling me down. All right. Severity, moderate. Protected categories. Okay. No. Ethnicity. Okay. Here we go. Secondary categories. Conspiracy theories, Jewish influence, welfare dependency, historical revisionism on slavery, Holocaust adjacent claims, ethnic religious stereotyping, example, parasitic implications via welfare critiques, same team framing or pro-anti-Zionist Jews, dehumanization tropes, indirect via group level fiscal parasitism accusations, skepticism, denial of anti-Semitic incidences, dismissing swastika vandalism claims. So there you go. So let me be clear. First of all, if you follow me on this platform here on YouTube, pretty much all the information I post here, I conduct myself the exact same way on there. The exact same way. Like I'm not up here like Hail Hitler. I'm not saying I'm not doing any of that. Like I know, when I'm encountering these people, I give them their own words back. That's all I do. That's all I do. I don't call names because I don't need to do that. I just show them their own stuff. That's all I do. And so by doing that, they're saying that I'm kind of classified as hate and harassment. Okay, here we go. Jewish communities. Let's see. Repeated framing of Jewish communities as disproportionately reliant on public welfare, systemic fraud. Your own article said that. I didn't say that. Your own. This is why I keep posting your own stuff, because that's my protection. If I was to start just saying stuff and not sourcing it from them, I know they would be like, see, you're making it up. But see, I make sure that I go right to their own publications and show it to and post that. This is why these rabbis haven't been responding to me. Because I'm showing their stuff. They don't know what to do with that. Anyway, it goes violation patterns. Bio contribution, they said low, moderate, vague exposure theme that aligns with conspiratorial noticing in context. I never used the word noticing. I never did that because I already knew they had that flag. Moderate, let's see what else it got here. Visibility reduction in sensitive topics. Deboosting partial search suppression on keyword clusters. Jewish welfare parasite tropes. Continued monitoring for escalation. They're telling you they say we're gonna continue to monitor you. Limited restriction outside followers and controversial threads. Hidden reputation score estimated reduced 65%. Oh, no, actually I told y'all 82%. So yeah, I'm 65 to 75%. Reply deboost activity true. Replies downranked in high report threads. Current reach suppression severity moderate. Other flags misinformation. Moderate historical revisionism, conspiracy, amplification, and replies. Well, at least, and then they say violence, incitement, none. Spam, none. Well, at least they got those, because I would definitely call them on that because I don't do any of that stuff. Yeah, that's on X. That's on X. Yeah, just look it up. Just look up, I forgot what the command is, but just put in some random keywords and it'll come up. A lot of people doing it now. Now, there's people on there, the programmers out there like, oh, it's not accurate. It's not like it's actually finding all this. It's not accessing your account. Yeah, it's kind of odd. It's giving me all that other stuff there. Yeah, and it's the same system. It's from the same company. So, yeah, I mean, they're not just pulling stuff out of the air. And Elon Musk does talk about how accurate his software is. So it's not, I don't think it's lying. So out of curiosity, I said, let me put somebody else up. Let me just see what happens. So I don't have it in front of me right now, but I said, let me put Tariq Nasheed up there. Let me just see what that says. Now, he says some very inflammatory stuff. Now, he doesn't say anything about the chosen ones, but he says some very inflammatory, like he says stuff. I definitely wouldn't say that. And they said no violations, no flags, clean slate. I said, now this is very interesting. Because see, like I said, the way I set up my, on my account on there, it's just mostly like historical current events kind of thing. I'm not really getting into the other stuff here. Like I said, I blocked a lot of stuff because I ain't trying to be caught in any like dumb foolishness stuff. Some people, I completely block because I'm like, okay, I'm not in high school, that kind of thing. So I really look at the things I really focus on. I look at, when I'm dealing with apologists, Christian apologists, of course, the Zionist stuff, black culture stuff, but it really depends because sometimes it can, You know, like I said, a lot of foolishness I had to block. But if it's some very meaningful discussions on black culture and all that, I'll stick to that. I'm good with that. But yeah, that's all. I honestly, that's all I talk. I mean, if I was going to get into some really crazy stuff, then I would just create a separate account for that. But I'm no. But that's isn't that funny? So that's X. Can you imagine what it must look like for YouTube? I'm just very curious of that, because I can't tell you that my numbers went down. They sunk like a rock after the elections. Last year, it just went straight down. It went straight down. And I was like, this is interesting. And I've come across people who, you know, like me, I'm here on YouTube, but there are people on X. They do that as a way of making, that's their income. Like there's some people who got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and they make a lot of money. And I've heard stories of people, because they have done this kind of stuff, you start talking about them people, they have lost. This guy said he was making thousands of dollars what was it, every 2 weeks or whatever it is the payout is. He said it's going from thousands, he said, to like a few hundred. Can you imagine that if this was your livelihood and they took you down like that just because of something you said? That is wild. That's wild, man. But anyway, that's the world we live in. So moral of the story, we got to ask questions. We got to use our head. We got to use our brains. And that's it. I hope you guys got something out of this broadcast. Again, this broadcast was brought to you by Sombertree. So make sure you check out our wonderful website, sombertree.com. This is Dwayne signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, we changed our email address. Go to the community page. Check that out. I put the brand new email address there, so check that out. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be talking again soon. Take care.
From the leaf to the bottle, yeah, we slow it down. No rush in the process, we let love come around. Yeah. Sun on the flavor, I'm in the blend. Once you taste something real, you don't play pretend. Ain't no shortcuts, ain't no disguise. You can see it in the color, taste it when you try. Grown folks sip, yeah, it hit just right. Daytime cooler, warm late night. If you know, then you know what I mean. When it's brewed real slow, keep it clean. Let me tell you what it is, my friend. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Summer tree, sour sop. You wanna sit back again and again. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Summer tree, sour sop. You wanna sit back again and again. Out again, again, again.